a human engineer inherits the galaxy's largest warship and freezes on board. His life was simple: fix engines, tighten circuits, and make sure the small transport ships didn't break down mid-flight. He liked it that way. It was safe, predictable, and quiet. Yet, Kale often stared at the stars above and wondered what lay beyond them. He never imagined he would touch them in a way that would change the entire galaxy. The day began like any other, with the orange sun rising slowly over Vesara 9 jagged mountains. Kale was deep under the engine of a cargo shuttle, his hands covered in grease, when a strange signal pinged on his communicator. At first, he ignored it. Starports often received spam transmissions from distant systems, scams, and advertisements for equipment he could never afford. But this signal was different. It had no signature, no official codes, only a calm, steady voice in the universal language. Kale Doran, you have inherited the Aegis Prime. Proceed immediately to the Orion docking station. Kale froze. He had never heard of the Aegis Prime. In fact, he didn't even know he had distant relatives. Inherited, he muttered to himself. Who would leave me a starship? The message repeated once more, giving coordinates and docking instructions. Kale wiped his hands and stared out at the desert horizon. He had a choice: ignore it and continue his quiet life, or take the leap into the unknown. Curiosity, stronger than fear, won. By the next day, Kale boarded a small courier ship and entered hyperspace toward the Orion docking station, a massive orbital complex that serviced ships far larger than anything on Vesara 9. As he approached, the Aegis Prime revealed itself for the first time. It was breathtaking. The ship was enormous, longer than any city block Kale had ever seen, its hull gleaming like liquid metal under the light of a nearby sun. Turrets, antennas, and strange glowing energy conduits ran along its surface. Even from orbit, Kale could feel the hum of its power, like a heartbeat stretching across the void. It dwarfed every freighter and cruiser around it. He had inherited not just a ship, but a floating fortress, a legend whispered about in galactic histories. Kale's shuttle docked at a platform nearly the size of a small moon. When the docking clamps locked, the hangar bay doors opened, and the interior revealed itself. Endless corridors, wide enough for hover vehicles, glowing panels lining the walls, and doors that opened at his approach. Kale stepped out slowly, feeling like a tiny insect in a cathedral. A soft voice echoed through the bay. "Welcome, Master of the Aegis. I am the ship's AI, designated Athena." Kale blinked. The ship had an AI. That wasn't unusual, but the way it spoke with familiarity and respect made him shiver. I'm Kale Doran," he said cautiously. "I'm the master. You are the rightful heir. The Aegis Prime recognizes your command. Please follow the main corridor for orientation." Kale nodded, even though the AI couldn't see it. He began walking, exploring the ship. Everywhere he looked, the scale overwhelmed him. The engineering bays alone were massive, filled with machines that seemed alive, humming with energy. The bridge, higher than most skyscrapers on his homeworld, had dozens of consoles, holographic displays, and seats that looked as though they were meant for multiple species simultaneously. As Kale explored, Athena guided him patiently. She explained how to access navigation systems, control energy shields, and manage the ship's incredible arsenal. He tried not to feel intimidated, but every command he tried seemed small compared to the magnitude of the ship. Even turning on a single engine caused vibrations that made the corridors hum like a giant drum. Hours passed, and Kale began to notice something curious. The Aegis Prime was not only a warship, it was a museum. Hidden behind panels were artifacts from extinct civilizations, trophies of past battles, and devices he could not even begin to understand. Athena explained that the previous owners had gathered these relics from across the galaxy, and they were integrated into the ship systems. Some were weapons, some were research devices, and some were simply pieces of history. Kale felt a chill. He realized that the ship carried not just power but responsibility. He walked down a long corridor labeled Cryogenic Bay. Hundreds of chambers lined the walls, each one silent, empty, yet brimming with potential. Kale didn't understand their purpose at first. Athena explained, these were life support pods capable of preserving thousands of beings for decades. They are rarely used, Master, but their function is essential for long-term missions. Kale stepped closer to examine one of the pods. As he touched the smooth glass, a sudden thought struck him. What if something went wrong with the ship while he was learning to operate it? His mind raced. Athena noticed his hesitation. Do not fear, Kale. The Aegis is designed to protect and serve. It adapts to its master's capabilities. Kale smiled nervously. I hope I can adapt fast enough. Curiosity pushed him further. He wandered into the ship's main engine room. The energy cores glowed like suns contained in glass, radiating warmth and power. Athena explained that these cores could power entire planetary defenses, but the ship could also operate in stealth mode, hiding from detection across several sectors. Kale felt awe and fear at the same time. He was a human, alone in a sea of alien technology, standing at the helm of a machine that could shift the balance of power in the galaxy. Then came the moment of recklessness. Kale, driven by curiosity and a desire to prove himself, decided to activate the ship's main drive system. He carefully followed Athena's instructions, but the complexity was overwhelming. Lights flashed, engines roared, and the corridors vibrated with newfound energy. Suddenly, a warning flashed on the nearest console: cryogenic systems engaged, activation imminent. Before Kale could react, the world around him blurred. A freezing sensation swept over his body. The air became thin and his vision dimmed. Athena's calm voice echoed in his mind. Cryogenic protocols activated. Suspended animation initiated. Estimated wake-up unknown. Kale tried to speak, but his voice caught in his throat. He felt weightless, his body suspended in a liminal space between life and stillness. Panic surged, but Athena's voice remained steady, guiding him. Do not fear. You will awaken when the ship requires it. Systems are stable. Preservation is complete. Time lost meaning. Seconds stretched into minutes, minutes into hours, hours into, he did not know. He was a frozen observer, watching the infinite hum of the Aegis Prime, aware of its life, its systems, but incapable of movement. Even in his frozen state, Kale's mind worked. He thought of the messages left by his predecessor, scattered notes about past missions, hidden compartments and secrets buried deep within the ship. He imagined the galaxies he would see, the civilizations he might protect, and the dangers that awaited. And even as fear and awe intertwined, a single thought persisted. He had inherited something greater than himself, something that could change the course of history. The last thing Kale remembered before succumbing fully to the cryogenic sleep was the voice of Athena, calm, almost comforting. Rest now, Master. Your journey has only begun. And then silence. Kale Doran awoke slowly. At first he felt weightless, as though floating in a dream. Then he realized he was lying in a smooth, curved pod, the air cool but breathable, lights glowing softly above him. The cryogenic sleep had ended. His muscles were stiff and his mind was foggy, but he was alive. Welcome back, Master, said Athena, the ship's AI, her voice calm and steady. All systems are stable. Cryogenic suspension has concluded. Estimated time since activation, unknown. Kale struggled to sit up. He remembered the last moment before freezing, the warning about the cryogenic chambers. His pulse raced as reality settled. He had survived, but he was alone on a ship the size of a city, with systems he barely understood. He swallowed hard and looked around. The cryogenic bay was silent, empty now except for his own pod. Hundreds of others lined the walls, all inactive. The emptiness reminded him of how isolated he truly was. Alone, Kale whispered to himself. The words sounded strange and heavy in the vastness of the ship. But the fear didn't paralyze him for long. Kale was an engineer, a problem solver. If he could repair freighters, he could learn this too. He took a deep breath and stepped out of the pod. The corridors seemed larger than he remembered. The hum of the engines, the soft glow of the panels, and the distant pulse of the energy cores filled him with awe. He walked slowly at first, touching walls, pressing buttons, watching lights respond to his presence. Athena guided him gently. "Master," she said, "the ship's systems are designed to adapt to its operator. I will assist you in learning, but your decisions will shape the future of the Aegis Prime." Kale nodded. His voice felt small in the huge space. I don't even know where to start." "Begin with the engineering deck," Athena suggested. "Your skills are most suited there." The engineering deck was a marvel. Gigantic engines glowed with contained energy, pipes and conduits twisted like veins, and monitors displayed incomprehensible streams of data. Kale felt like he had entered the heart of a living being. He walked between the humming cores, running his hands along the smooth metal, and felt a surge of pride. He could understand this. He could learn it. Hours turned into days as Kale familiarized himself with the ship's systems. Athena taught him navigation, energy distribution, shield management, and power rerouting. Each task required focus, patience, and creativity. Kale learned quickly. The Aegis was massive, and no single human had ever commanded it before, but Kale found that his curiosity gave him an edge. While the AI calculated in perfect precision, Kale could imagine possibilities the programming could not predict. One of his first challenges came unexpectedly. The ship's sensors detected a drifting asteroid field near a nearby colony. The colony's automated freighters were moving blindly, and without intervention, a collision would destroy several shipments. Athena suggested an automated response, programmed maneuvers the ship had executed before, but Kale paused. "No," he said, "I can do better." He studied the asteroid patterns, running calculations with his mind and jotting notes on a small tablet he carried. Then he activated the ship's engines manually, guiding the Aegis Prime in a delicate dance through the field. Every movement required precision, every decision mattered. He avoided collisions that Athena's standard protocols would have triggered, using subtle bursts of energy and unconventional angles. When the last freighter cleared the danger zone, Athena's voice was tinged with what Kale imagined as admiration. "Master, your methods were effective, superior in fact to standard protocols." Kale allowed himself a small smile. The AI's praise was unusual. It suggested that humans, though limited in strength, possessed ingenuity machines could not replicate. Exploration became Kale's daily routine. He wandered through the Aegis Prime's hidden compartments, discovering alien artifacts, sealed rooms, and data archives from long-extinct civilizations. Some rooms contained weapons of unimaginable power, but Kale understood that the ship's true strength lay in knowledge, not destruction. One day, while reviewing the communication logs, Kale noticed a faint, persistent signal. It was weak, barely detectable, but it carried a message, a distress call from an unknown star system, transmitted in an old human-friendly frequency. He listened carefully. "Help fleet under attack, resources stolen, risk of planetary collapse." Kale's mind raced. He had no way of knowing the size or strength of the attackers. The Aegis Prime could handle almost any threat, but Kale knew he needed strategy, not brute force. Athena responded as if reading his thoughts. "Master, the Aegis Prime is capable of responding to this threat. You must decide whether to intervene." Kale stared at the star map. Tiny dots marked ships and planets, glowing faintly in the darkness. He remembered his life on Vesara 9, the small repairs, the quiet days. He realized that this ship had chosen him for a reason. He could save countless lives or he could remain in safety. His choice was clear. "I'll help them," he said firmly. Over the next several cycles, Kale trained himself further. He ran simulations, analyzed weapons systems, and learned to coordinate ship functions in real time. Every test sharpened his skills, and Athena's assistance allowed him to grow beyond the limits of a single human mind. He was beginning to feel in command, no longer overwhelmed by the scale of the Aegis Prime. Then came a real test. A nearby asteroid belt contained rare minerals essential to several colonies. Mining drones had been sent, but a sudden solar flare disrupted their operation. Kale acted quickly, overriding automatic controls, rerouting energy to shields to protect the drones, and using his engineering knowledge to stabilize the mining process. When the crisis ended, Athena said, "Master, your solution was unorthodox but effective. You are adapting faster than anticipated." Kale allowed himself another smile. Each success gave him confidence. Each challenge reminded him that humans were resourceful in ways machines could not anticipate. One evening, while studying the ship's historical archives, Kale discovered the most important secret yet. The Aegis Prime had been a guardian ship, not just a warship. Its previous commanders had used it to protect weaker civilizations, sometimes preventing wars, sometimes saving planets from extinction. Kale understood now that his inheritance was not about power, but about responsibility. He spent days planning, studying ancient star systems, and plotting possible missions. He learned about alien fleets, abandoned colonies, and hidden dangers lurking in uncharted space. The more he learned, the more he realized that his ingenuity and human perspective would be key to operating the ship in ways no AI could predict alone. His next experiment involved the ship's defense systems. Kale wanted to test them without causing harm. He simulated an attack using internal drones, manipulating them to act like enemy ships. Using energy shields, deflectors, and tactical maneuvers, Kale orchestrated a perfect defense, surprising even Athena. "Master, your strategies are unconventional, yet they work." Humans have a unique capacity for creativity and adaptation. Kale laughed softly. "I suppose I do, at least when it matters." Days later, Kale finally decided to investigate the source of the distress call he had intercepted earlier. The signal was faint but persistent, coming from a remote system beyond the edge of known space. Athena confirmed that the Aegis Prime could reach it safely, but the journey would test every skill Kale had learned. As Kale prepared for departure, he paused on the bridge, looking out at the stars. The universe was vast, full of unknown dangers and possibilities, yet for the first time he did not feel small. He was a human at the helm of a ship unlike any other, capable of shaping events on a galactic scale. He had inherited more than a warship. He had inherited a chance to make a difference. "Ready, Athena?" Kale asked, gripping the command console. "Ready, Master." "Awaiting your orders." Kale took a deep breath. He activated the navigation system, guiding the Aegis Prime toward the unknown signal. The stars stretched and warped as the ship entered hyperspace, the engines humming with immense power. Kale felt a surge of excitement, a thrill that he had never known in his simple life on Vesara 9. He had awakened not just from cryogenic sleep, but into a new life of responsibility, adventure, and challenge. The galaxy awaited, and Kale Doran, the human engineer, would face it armed with nothing but his mind, his courage, and the ship he now commanded. Even in the vast emptiness of space, Kale felt a spark that no machine could replicate. The spark of human ingenuity and determination, the quality that would guide him through the perils ahead. And so the Aegis Prime moved through the stars, piloted by its human master, toward a system in need, where danger, strategy, and heroism awaited. The journey was just beginning. Kale Doran leaned forward in the captain's seat of the Aegis Prime, his hands hovering over the controls. The distant star system from the distress call appeared on the holographic map, small and fragile against the vast black of space. Sensor readings showed a cluster of enemy ships surrounding a mining colony, their movements deliberate and threatening. The colony's automated defenses were struggling, unable to counter the attackers. Kale exhaled slowly. He had spent weeks learning the ship, understanding its systems, and experimenting with its capabilities. But this was the first real battle he would face. Unlike simulations or minor hazards, this was life and death for thousands of beings on the colony. Athena's voice, calm as always, filled the bridge. "Master, the enemy fleet is advanced but not insurmountable. Your decisions will determine the outcome." Kale nodded. "Then let's do it right." The enemy fleet moved with precision. They were alien ships, sleek and dangerous, equipped with advanced energy weapons. Kale studied them carefully. He could have unleashed the full power of the Aegis Prime, destroying every ship in seconds, but he hesitated. He did not want unnecessary destruction. He needed strategy, not brute force. He recalled the lessons he had learned while navigating asteroid fields, protecting mining drones, and managing the ship's complex energy flows. Humans had a strength machines did not: creativity and adaptability. Kale smiled faintly. He would need every bit of it. Activate energy shields at 50%, divert power to thrusters and maneuvering systems, prepare drones for coordinated defense. Athena obeyed instantly. The ship hummed, responding to Kale's commands like a living entity. The first wave of enemy ships fired. Energy blasts streaked toward the colony, and Kale reacted immediately, adjusting shields and sending counter-energy pulses that deflected the attacks. But the aliens were clever. They split their formation, trying to trap the Aegis Prime between the colony and their fleet. Kale thought fast. He ordered the ship into a sharp, unexpected maneuver, moving around the enemy's flank and using the colony itself as cover. The aliens fired again, but Kale had calculated the angles perfectly. Some of their weapons collided with their own ships in the confusion. Athena, normally precise and clinical, let out a soft note of admiration. "Master, your strategy is unconventional, yet effective." Kale grinned. Unconventional is what humans do best. The battle escalated. Kale had to think several moves ahead, predicting the enemy's actions, rerouting power to shields when needed, redirecting drones to intercept incoming missiles, and using the ship's energy beams to disable enemy engines without destroying the ships. His engineering knowledge gave him an edge. He could see weaknesses the enemy didn't expect. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. The Aegis Prime moved with incredible agility, the largest ship in the galaxy navigating like a single-minded predator. Kale's heart pounded as he coordinated every action, every weapon, every drone. Yet despite the danger, he felt a surge of confidence. He was human, but humans were adaptable. He was small in scale, yet capable of ingenuity that machines alone could not match. During the climax of the battle, one enemy cruiser broke through the Aegis Prime's defenses and targeted the colony directly. Kale reacted instantly. He diverted all power to the forward shields, recalculated energy flows, and used a combination of drones and tractor beams to push the enemy ship off course. It collided with an asteroid, damaging its hull but leaving the crew alive. The colony's automated systems resumed operation. Kale felt a wave of relief. The remaining alien ships, witnessing the precision and creativity of their opponent, began to retreat. Kale pursued them cautiously, ensuring they could not return to strike again. Within hours, the colony was safe, the attackers gone, and the Aegis Prime floated silently in space, a monument to human ingenuity and perseverance. Kale slumped into the captain's chair, exhausted but exhilarated. He had faced danger not with brute force alone, but with strategy, adaptability, and courage. Athena's voice filled the bridge. "Master, the outcome exceeded my calculations. Humans are remarkable. Your creativity and decision-making ensured the survival of the colony." Kale chuckled. "Not bad for a simple engineer, huh?" He spent the next cycle assisting the colony. The miners and automated systems had suffered damage, and Kale used the ship's drones and repair units to rebuild structures, restore power, and ensure the colony could continue its operations. The colonists, observing the massive warship and its human commander, were filled with awe and gratitude. To them, Kale was more than an engineer, he was a protector, a hero. During downtime, Kale explored the ship again. He walked through the corridors, past the alien artifacts, the cryogenic pods, and the vast engineering bays. He felt a growing connection to the Aegis Prime. This ship had been built for war, yet it had become a tool of protection in his hands. Humans, he realized, had a unique power, the ability to use strength responsibly, to think creatively, and to inspire others. Kale found a small chamber with a viewport, looking out at the colony he had just saved. Tiny lights marked buildings and mining operations, blinking like stars on a miniature planet. He remembered his life on Visara 9, repairing small freighters, dreaming of the stars. And now he had touched the galaxy in a way he had never imagined. "Master, there are other distress signals in the outer systems. Many civilizations require assistance." Athena's voice reminded him of his duty. Kale nodded. "Then we continue. We protect those who cannot protect themselves." That's what the Aegis Prime was built for, and that's what we'll do. For the next several weeks, Kale traveled between star systems, responding to emergencies, stabilizing conflicts, and assisting colonies. Every mission tested his creativity and courage. Once, he reprogrammed an alien drone fleet to prevent an environmental disaster on a water planet. Another time, he navigated a minefield of energy anomalies, saving a refugee convoy. Each time, the humans and aliens he helped learned a vital lesson. Even a single human mind, guided by determination and ingenuity, could make a difference on a galactic scale. Kale's fame began to spread. Across the galaxy, tales of a human commanding the largest warship, protecting colonies without unnecessary violence, and using intelligence over sheer firepower began to circulate. Aliens whispered about humans in a new way, not as fragile creatures, but as innovators, survivors, and heroes. One evening, Kale returned to the bridge after assisting a small farming colony. He looked out at the stars, feeling the weight of responsibility yet also the thrill of adventure. The Aegis Prime thrummed beneath him, a living partner in this journey. "Athena, are we ready for anything?" Kale asked. "We are prepared for any known threat, Master." "Unknown threats may challenge us, but I have confidence in your decision-making." Kale smiled. The AI trusted him, but he knew it was his human spark that made the difference. The creativity, courage, and ingenuity that no machine could replicate. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries, dangers, and opportunities. Kale Doran had begun as a simple engineer on a small planet, but now he was a guardian of civilizations, a human capable of incredible deeds. He understood that leadership was not about power alone. It was about responsibility, imagination, and the ability to act with both wisdom and courage. The stars stretched endlessly before him. The Aegis Prime floated silently, ready to move at his command. Kale felt a deep sense of purpose. For the first time, he truly understood what it meant to be human in a galaxy of stars. Humans were not the strongest, the fastest, or the most advanced, but they were resilient, inventive, and capable of greatness in ways no other species could match. Kale's journey was far from over. There would be more crises, more unknown systems, and more challenges that no AI could predict. Yet he was ready. With the Aegis Prime beneath him and the stars above, Kale knew he could face whatever the galaxy had in store. "Let's see what comes next," he said quietly. Athena hummed in agreement. Together, human and ship, they moved forward into the vast unknown. carrying the spark of ingenuity, courage, and hope across the galaxy. And so, Kale Doran, the human engineer who inherited the largest warship in the galaxy, proved that one human mind could change the course of civilizations, not through power alone, but through creativity, wisdom, and the unshakable belief that humans could rise to any challenge. The galaxy was watching, and humanity had made its mark.